Alrighty, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for day 3 of the Boys Town Pediatrics Fall Newborn Expo. My name is Gabby. I'm your host for the week. We have gone live every single day at noon talking about a different topic that will help you best prepare for your newborn. Today we are live with Dr. Kelly McCarthy. Dr. McCarthy, how's it going?
Hello there, good. How are you?
Good. Great to have you on.
Thank
We're
you.
going to be discussing developmental milestones in the first year. So whether you're expecting your baby or maybe you've recently given birth, this topic is most certainly for you. As we go through our discussion today, if you have any questions and want to leave them in the comment section, go ahead and comment them below. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. If you prefer to keep your question more private, you can always send it to us directly on our Facebook page. We'll be checking that inbox as well. Make sure you comment to, say hi, say whatever you need, even if you don't have a question, because we are doing a live giveaway at the end. So that's for everybody local to Omaha. We are giving away a stuffed bear with a throw blanket bundle, a little bit of a tongue twister. So we'll draw for that at the end after the Q&A. Okay, Dr. McCarthy, please introduce yourself and tell us more about your role at Boys Town Pediatrics.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kelly McCarthy. I'm a general pediatrician. I've worked for Boys Town for about 9 years now. I am located at the 30th in California, just north of 30th and Dodge location, the East Campus. I'm also the medical director for the Spark Clinic, which is our medical weight management clinic.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So with this topic, before we get into the conversation, let's give a little disclaimer for milestones. Every baby is different, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
For sure.
baby is different. So we're going to talk about different milestones and kind of some timelines with them, but just know if you're watching and you're maybe saying, oh, my baby didn't hit that milestone at that month or whatever it may be, every baby is different, and always talk to your pediatrician. So
yeah. Well, I think one of the most dangerous traps that parents fall into is the comparison game, right? Like even between siblings, it can happen easily. Well, your sister rolled over at 4 months, but you rolled over at 9 months or whatever it is. And so parents can do this. I do this with my own kids too. And it's easy to fall into that, but there's a normal spectrum, right? That we talk about. There's a normal range.
yes, shortly. All right. So jumping into our discussion questions here. In the first month of life, what can baby do?
They can do a lot. We talk about vision. I think a lot of parents naturally wonder if their child can see them when they're first born, and they can. It's really fascinating that they can see probably a good foot or two. They can see it when you're right up close to them. Otherwise, the vision's a little bit blurry, but they can certainly see your face, especially when you're close, and they like that. And so that's fun. Now the vision will gradually extend here over the first few months of life, but they can see quite a bit, even early on like that, even that first month or so. So that's good. They can definitely see. They can hear, for sure. They can hear, and they respond to noises. You'll notice, parents will notice when they have a child at home and somebody drops a pan or something. There's something kind of that startles, and the baby they'll startle, they'll jump if there's a loud noise. So certainly they can hear, and they can hear your voice even in noises even before they're born, even as early as 16 weeks prenatally. They start to hear, and those inner ear organs start being formed, and so they start responding, and so they can start even acclimating and adjusting and beginning to recognize noises, common noises such as your voice or music or things like that, even before they're born. So I always thought that's a good thing to tell parents, that they, even before they're born, they can start getting to know you and getting used to your voice. So when they're born, it's something that they're comfortable with, and that is soothing for them. So, and then of course they move spontaneously. They're going to be able to move their arms, move their legs. Not necessarily purposeful movements, but they're going to have some tone and be able to kind of, kick and do those things. And then some limited head movement as well. They can definitely start to kind of throw their head around or lift it up briefly, even while they're newborns. So they can do quite a bit.
Yeah, that first month is very exciting for sure. When do we start introducing tummy time?
So just to clarify terms a little bit, we call it tummy time,
Yeah.
but really tummy time is any time that a baby is up off their back. So when they sleep, we always, of course, we recommend back to sleep. But tummy time could be like if they're in a carrier and they're upright during that time. If you're just kind of like holding them, or that's also considered a tummy time. And basically, it's a time that's allowed for babies to work on some of that head control and neck control, so they can build up some strength, some coordination with those different positions, and so they're just not on their back all the time. So tummy time can really start anytime. So it can start after birth. As soon as the baby's born, you can start doing these periods of time where the baby's up and you're holding them. Or if my daughter loved the carrier, so she was in the carrier a lot during the day, and it's basically a time where they can work on just gradually kind of lifting that head up, moving that head around. It prevents some of that flattening that we see in the back of the head, so it will prevent that. And also, it's kind of like exercise for them, where they learn on trying to lift and get those neck muscles and things strengthened up.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime's fine after they're born. Now, we always start with a short amount of time. You might start with just a few seconds even at first, and then you can gradually kind of advance that. Now, the traditional tummy time is on the floor, on a nice firm surface, on the blanket, and you just when they're awake, you just place them kind of flat and kind of lift their arms up so they're kind of up near their head, so they can practice kind of gradually lifting that head up. A lot of babies won't like it. So at first they're going to get fussy and cry and kind of get upset about it. Now, some babies, I've heard some parents tell me that, oh no, she loves their tummy time. It's great. And that wasn't my kids, but a lot of kids don't like it. So you start with a few seconds, start with, half a minute or something like that. And then they'll get to the point where they're kind of uncomfortable and fussing. You can pick them up, wait a little period of time, hour or two, and then you try it again, and you can give another period of tummy time. And you can start with a few seconds to a minute, and you can do that 3 or 4 times a day, and then gradually advance that over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of work up to it.
Mm-hmm. Like any exercise routine.
Right. Yes. The next question is, when do babies start babbling? And is it good to talk back and engage with them when they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So babbling, just the technical term for babbling are those ah, ba, ma, da kind of noises. They start getting some consonant sounds when the babies are making their first noises, and that starts around 4 months of age, typically, just some that ma, 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 ba, ba kind of noises. And that's kind of they're learning their vocal coordination. They're experimenting with sounds. And it's kind of like their first version of words, right? So it's cool, and it's good to talk to them. They're practicing, so they hear our voices, they hear the sounds, and then they repeat those kind of sounds back. They're trying to repeat the sounds that they're hearing. So absolutely, talking to your baby, singing to your baby, just telling them about your day, what's going on, is great. That's how they're learning. That's how their brains are integrating the sounds that they hear and turning those into vocalization. So absolutely, talk to your baby. And then the cooing is the other thing. Cooing is really kind of some of the first sounds that they make. Cooing is those ah kind of sounds or ooh sounds that you might hear. And those really start around 2 months of age.
Yeah, good to know. What other tips do you suggest to help keep our newborns actively engaged? So I know we mentioned talking with them, singing with them. What would you recommend for really trying to entertain them, using books, toys, things like that?
Well, early on, they're going to sleep a lot. There's a lot of sleeping. And then the other thing is they're kind of backwards, right? So they sleep a lot during the day. They're awake at nighttime. It's just their circadian rhythms are all messed up. That takes a few weeks and that normalizes. But there's going to be sleep. There's going to be wake time. And it's probably almost split, probably more sleep than awake during the first few weeks. So there's going to be a lot of sleeping going on. But when they're awake and then they're having this active time, that's when you do all those things you were talking about. You can read them, you talk to them, you sing to them, you just hold them, and you just admire their cuteness. The first few weeks, and that's a great thing to do. And then as time goes on, they start getting more and more awake time, and that's when you go on walks together and you listen to music together. And if you're at home with them, you find yourself just telling them about whatever and talking about whatever, and they're your companion. So yeah, all those things.
Yeah. I know sometimes we have parents write in saying, I'm worried I'm not doing enough during their wake windows to engage them. But I'm glad you said, there are little for just a short time in life. So even if you just want to lay there and look at them and appreciate them.
Absolutely, because there's going to come a day where you can't get them to sit still, and all these times, these kind of short period times, like my boys, they don't even want me to hold them or hug them anymore. When they're newborns, you got all the time in the world for holds and hugs and all those things. So just kind of relish in that moment, because the only time you're holding them still only time they're still is at bedtime now.
Yes. Oh my goodness. How old are your boys now?
My boys are going to be 4. I have twin boys. Are going to be 4 in November. Yeah.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Time flies. The next question is, let's see. How can we help our baby roll over and sit up when they get to that point?
Yeah, so you can't make it happen, right? So, trust me, I tried. The rolling, they will do it eventually. Probably tummy time is the best thing to do to get them practicing, because typically they roll over around 4 months, and that tummy, and it's usually front to back. So that's kind of the easier movement for them to do. The back to front happens later, maybe around 6 months or so. And so doing that tummy time where they're learning to prop themselves up on their arms and kind of push their arms into the ground, and then eventually they'll kind of get the momentum up and kind of flip themselves over. And so that's probably the best time. I recall very well as a new dad being laying on the ground next to my daughter, like right in her face, like a Marine drill sergeant, saying, "You can do it, come on, push yourself over, come on," and then we had a big celebration, after it happened, but was it really my cheering? Maybe it helped a little bit, but certainly the tummy time and just being there and spending that time, it'll happen when it happens, when they figure it out and finally get that right push with that arm and twist themselves over, and they'll flip over, and then you can have a party.
About what time is that, when they start sitting up and rolling over? Is there?
So rolling over is around 4 months, front to back, typically first. Sitting on their own is closer to about 6 months. As far as the sitting up goes, you can kind of help with that. Just the tummy time helps with that core strength too. But we had like a little chair, that kind of like a supportive chair, or like you can prop them up. Starting around 4 months, we had this little chair called a bumbo chair. We used to put them in, and it's just a really supportive chair that they can sit in, even as young as 4 months. And that allows them to kind of get some of that truncal stability, where they can work on trying to hold the head up and kind of balance themselves a little bit, but it supports them. So they're not going to like teeter over. And so that was a nice thing. Or else just kind of little pillows around them. If they're on the floor, you can just put a little pillow on one side, other side, around the back, and they can, or like a boppy or something like that, you can sit them in, and they can practice kind of sitting themselves up. And usually right around 6 months of age, they can kind of get enough that they can kind of prop themselves up and stay up a little bit longer. And then that's also convenient. That's also about the time we recommend starting solid foods, right? So when they can sit in a high chair, they can hold themselves up, they have good neck and head control. So usually solid foods, that makes it time to start introducing that.
Mm-hmm. Very fun. The next question is, how can I work closely with my pediatrician to ensure that my baby is hitting milestones as they age?
Yeah, the best thing to do, I think, is just to come to your well checks, right? Well checks, we start them early. We call it an early out's the first visit, when that's that 2 to 3 days after discharge. And as long as everything's going okay, then we'll see you back around 2 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then a year. And that's that first full year. So there's a lot of checkups during that time. And that's when we literally just ask if you have any concerns, questions. We go through those milestones with you. And then, of course, you're free to call at any time. If you ever have any concerns, you can always call and schedule with us, and we're happy to talk through those things with you. But yeah, coming to the checkups, that's a time set aside. We have set aside to really go over those things with you.
And if my child is falling behind on milestones, how can I get support through my pediatrician?
Yeah, just let us know if you have concerns, and we talk about it at those well checks. Anytime you're concerned, you just give us a call. We can talk through there. If we do decide after meeting with one of us that, okay, maybe there is a little bit of a concern about being behind in one area, whether it's motor or vocal or anything, we can also make referrals if we need to a developmental specialist if needed, or to someone to do a little bit more thorough evaluation. We have the capacity right here at Boys Town to do a lot of that stuff. And so we can make those referrals if we need to, but we're happy to talk about it anytime. But okay.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so before we hop into the Q&A, thank you everyone for leaving questions. We see them and we will get to those. Parents-to-be who are watching, how can they schedule a meet and greet with you?
Yeah, happy to meet with anyone who's expecting. And I think you just give us a call and we'll get you scheduled, and we can set up a time where we can sit down, get to know each other, and find out if it seems like it's a good fit, our clinic, our location, and we're happy to visit with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so we can do that by phone. You can do it virtually or in person. We'll make sure to link all of that information in the comments for you guys. All right, so let's hop into the Q&A here, starting with, is it common for babies 5 weeks old to always want to look to the right, or if they favor one side over the other?
That can happen in that sometimes there's a little bit of maybe some muscular tightness on one side. So if they have a preference when they're born to look to one side or other side, there can be what we call a muscular torticollis. It's the fancy word where you have kind of a little bit of tightness on one side of the head. That could be it, where they kind of favor one side. That may be something to talk to your pediatrician about and see if they detect any of that. Otherwise, there should be, usually as long as their neck's really flexible and things, they should tend to be able to look in both directions pretty easily. So yeah, that might be something to talk to your doctor about.
Sure. If a child almost 4 months old does a great job with tummy time but doesn't roll yet, can they sleep on their stomach?
Generally speaking, we don't recommend sleeping on the stomach at all, at least putting your baby down on their stomach to go to sleep, just to prevent sudden infant death syndrome. So that's why we don't recommend sleeping on the back or on the stomach at any time. Now, there will be sometimes they'll get to after that 6 months and they start rolling on their own, and they start rolling back to front. Sometimes parents will come in and tell me, well, I put him down on his back in the middle of the night, but then he rolls to his stomach. And and I don't know, and I go and I check on it. I mean, he's on his tummy after I put him down on his back. And if that's the case, don't worry about that too much. As long as he's in a crib, he's on a flat surface, there's not a lot of heavy blankets or pillows or things around him, that's okay. You don't need to wake up and check on him every night, make sure he hasn't rolled over, because sometimes babies will do that. So the most important thing though is just to put him on his back. And generally speaking, we don't really recommend the stomach for sleeping anymore.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Is there anything that you can do after birth to help the baby have good eyesight?
Right. So I think there's, you look out there on the internet and there's a lot of kind of things like vitamins saying, oh, it supports eyesight. And this will help your child make sure they have the best vision possibly. The best thing is just if you're breastfeeding, make sure you're feeding regularly, feeding well. The other thing is we do recommend a little vitamin D supplement. Now we do recommend that to help just with bone formation and those things to make sure that the vitamin D level is okay. We don't recommend any specific vitamins aside from that at this point. Generally speaking, either if it's breast milk or if it's formula, just regular term formula, it'll have all the nutrition that they need for development. Some of those things, as far as vision goes, is more genetic than anything. I mean, I got glasses, I think, in first grade. It's just that's just runs in the family, and so there may not be a ton that we can do to control some of that stuff. But I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. The next question is, what is the best way to involve older siblings with helping development with the new baby? Great question.
Yeah, so younger siblings learn a lot from their older siblings for sure, and so siblings love it too. I mean, they love having their little brother or sister, and so them playing together, showing them things, getting up and say, "Hey, look at this, look at that." They certainly, laughing with them and talking to them, all of that stuff helps with development. All of it does, and so don't discredit any of those little things that the siblings do with their just spending time together and hearing their voices and playing together. All those things are great for development, and so siblings can do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We had a question on typical behavior of an older sibling with a new baby in the house. What do you see in the clinic of how people adjust well with that?
Yeah, can there be a little bit of jealousy that happens? I think so. Just for attention, we see that quite a bit. I saw it with my own, daughter, that there's some natural, like, okay, now I don't get mom and dad's attention all the time. They have to kind of split the attention between mom and, between baby and the older sibling. So some of that happens, and that passes though. Once, I think within a few weeks, really, there much of that kind of jealousy passes, and including the older sibling in the care of the baby, I think is probably the best thing to do. And saying, here, help me with, the diaper, and help me with things. Oh, what a great job being the big sibling. Great job, helping us with this, or taking care of your little brother or sister. That's the best. I think the best thing to do is just including the older sibling in the care of the younger one. And they like that, and they feel involved. And then they feel kind of that recognition that they're contributing to the care of the little one. And I think that helps.
Yeah, definitely. The last Newborn Expo might have been 2 ago at this point, but we did a whole live on helping siblings adjust to new baby with Dr. Fasali, who's going to be live with us on Friday of this week. But she's a behavioral health specialist at our clinic, so I'll make sure to link that video for you who asked if you wanted to watch it also. Okay, the next question is, oh, this one's great. It goes along kind of with what we were talking about meet and greets. When should expectant mothers start looking for a pediatrician for their baby?
So we're happy to see you anytime during the course of pregnancy. You don't have to wait till you're a week before delivery or anything like it. Can be. There's so much that goes on to get ready for the baby that we're happy to see it at any point. And that way it's just another thing you can kind of check off your list of getting ready. So happy to see anytime. If it's 2 days before delivery or 6 months before delivery, it doesn't matter. We're happy to see you.
Yeah, we'll get you set up. Perfect. The next question said, are high contrast toys better than other toys for early development?
As far as color contrast,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any studies to suggest that high contrast colors are better than others. Kids, the babies like it, right? They like usually lights and kind of noises and the colors and things like that. It kind of grabs their attention, and so yes, that I think that's perfectly fine. And then I think it also depends on where you're at in the day too. Like some of these really stimulating toys aren't probably good, late in the evening. You want to do kind of more calming things when especially if you're trying to get them to go to bed, obviously. So that's where the traditional books and things like that are probably better. So I'm certainly not opposed to anything that you might have some flashing lights a little here and there, or some kind of noises. I think that's okay, as long as it's not, overly dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, we'll just do a couple more and then we'll draw for the giveaway here. So can you speak on developmental milestones if the baby is maybe at daycare once parents go back to work? So this user asks about being in the swing and the bouncer chair while at daycare. Does that help with development? I guess at home too.
I don't think there's anything against or that would say, you shouldn't use a swing or you shouldn't use a bouncer or things like that the kids tend to like it. Now, there's, from safety standpoint, there's some of these things you just have to be careful that, we had a swing that my Catherine loved that we used to put her in. Well, and then it got recalled shortly thereafter. So I think check some of your things to make sure that, there's no recalls or anything on it. I think that's kind of a reasonable thing to do. But also, here's some of the times there's these really happy babies, that, they're just happy with whatever. So if you put them in a swing, they're happy. If you put them in a bouncer, they're happy. If you hold them happy, they're happy all the time. Well, those are the kind of sometimes the kids that are easy just to kind of let them just put them down and let them chill all day, right? And those are the kids that, you have to remember, like, hey, let's get them out of the swing for a little while. 'Cause sometimes it can be easy to be like, okay, they're in their swing, they're happy. No, it's good to get them out and hold them and get them to do the tummy time and get them out on the ground a little bit, because otherwise they can kind of just kind of be in their swing all day. And that's sometimes where we see some of that flattening in the back of the head that happens. So certainly not opposed to any swings or bouncers or things like that, but also that it's got to be part of their day, not their whole day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Okay, so before we get into the giveaway, I completely forgot to remind you guys yesterday of this, so I want to make a point to mention it today. This Saturday, if you are local to Omaha, we are doing a in-person element for our newborn expo, and that's going to be a newborn skills workshop. So I have the link right above this video. If you have free time Saturday and you'd like to come, we would absolutely love to see you, and we'll have several of our pediatricians there to teach you new skills and help you prepare for baby with the help of some community partners. So hope to see you there. All right, so we went ahead and spun the giveaway wheel. Thanks everyone for watching. And the winner for today's giveaway is Kayla. Congrats, Kayla. We will send you a message from our page to help you claim your prize. Dr. McCarthy, this has been a great chat and gives parents certainly a lot to look forward to as they welcome baby into their first year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, we will be live again tomorrow with Rosemary Pauley, who is an APRN with Boys Town, and we're going to be talking about how to help baby through tummy troubles. So definitely want to tune in for that, and we will see you then. Thanks, everybody.